bitch, I'm on the rail. I wrap it, I bag it, I pack it for sale. Got feeling on speed out, I hit me to chill. I give it a thrill, I put it on film. Niggas facade, get applaud, that ain't real. Come to my section and flex, we can tell. I got a show and she dipping them nails. I'm flipping my L's, I know they could tell. I did it too major, they hit me for favors. Been him since the cable was cut in the cradle. What's up, only right that I do it. Colossal until I'm a fossil, they want me to fail. Look, we prevail. Tell them to point out who said that they run it. Bitch, I'm on your tail. Know that they talking, they telling them tales. Just know how to tell, that shit for the sale. Yeah.
Honestly, I know it's hard to believe, but you have to trust me. It's got maximum taste and zero sugar.
Stop playing games, wooden boy.
No, I'm a real boy.
Pepsi Max. Maximum taste, zero sugar. Try and believe.
What do you see here? Maybe history, or maybe it's the future.
Amarti mi consola. Amami ancora, fallo dolcemente, un anno e mezzo, un'ora.
Tonali plug-in hybrid, a new charge of sportiness.
Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? Mr. Flynn, back at it again for some awesome racing today. And joining me in the commentary booth today is going to be Mike. Mike, buddy, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well today. And how are you looking forward to a very tough circuit, which is going to be indeed Canada?
I am doing fantastic. Very excited for this race, and it's going to be interesting because weather conditions around here can vary, so you never know if we're going to get mixed conditions. And of course, in the past, it's been a bit of a split in terms of strategy. You see some drivers go for a two-stop around here, some drivers go for a one-stop. So it's one of those tracks where you can throw up a lot of variables.
That is very, very true. And the part I want to know about today's race, are we going to expect any rain? Because you know Canada could bring some maybe heavy rain into rain. Do you think that could be possible for today's race?
Oh, 100%. This track is famous for it. Obviously, for the real-life F1 fans, if you remember, 2011, Jenson Button taking a fabulous win back then. The conditions in real life got red flagged for almost 2-3 hours.
Yeah, I do remember watching that race. That race was a bit boring, you know, having to wait and twiddle your thumbs and try and entertain yourself somehow. So yeah, it was, like I said, slightly boring having to wait for the race restart. But anyways then, apart from that, we've got some news to announce today that it's going to be Envisaged Racing have pulled out the event today for this foreseeable future. And we've got a new team today called Optic Racing Team. I've not heard about them much, to be honest, Mike. How do you think they will perform today? Is it going to be obviously their first race with us? And do you think they could be on the top step, or have they got to find out how drivers are going to perform and how clean and what their wheel-to-wheel combat is like?
It's going to be a bit of both. Obviously, I don't know too much about Optic either in terms of the drivers and how quick they are, but obviously whenever you first join any particular competitive race, and you want to be able to get a feel to how everyone drives initially. So I wouldn't have extremely high hopes now for round one. You know, I'd expect them to just feel out the first round, and then they'll know where they stand then for the next race.
Yeah, I can 110% agree with you there, but having a new team on the grid for round number 4 at Canada, obviously a hard track to overtake on. That's going to be quite exciting to see how they perform today. And they will be racing in the Williams team, so we're going to keep our eyes high above on that. But we should get going shortly, fingers crossed in the lobby. There are a few players readied up, but not everyone. So I'm not too sure if we're still waiting on one or two people or if we're just waiting at a certain time. But like I say, we should get along very, very shortly. Anything else that I've missed? Don't think I missed anything. We could possibly talk about the standings maybe, which should have been updated, and they have after race 3, which was the lovely track of Spain, which we saw some awesome battling on track and individuals going wheel to wheel, and it was absolutely awesome to watch. Obviously, Relentless with 120 points, which is absolutely crazy, followed by CPI Esports on 97 points, and then X Esports followed on 90 points. So I would say, Mike, the top 3, they are very, very close. To be honest with you, it feels almost so real with the actual F1 of how close the constructors are for, I'd say, second and third. I wouldn't really say for maybe P1 in the constructors in real life, as Red Bull being dominant as always. But no, the top 3 separated not far off each other, which I would say is quite exciting. And we've still got a few more races to get going here.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 3 is definitely an interesting battle. Obviously, as you mentioned, Relentless, CPA, and X Esports. Only 30 points separating first down to third. The interesting thing is going to be who's going to have the consistency, because any driver can win a race, but unless you're consistent with it, you're not going to be winning any titles or anything like that. So in terms of a team aspect, you can have drivers that win a race, get a 1-2, but unless they're consistently doing it, you ain't going to be winning no team standings.
I'll tell you what, you're not wrong there. And of course, with Ultimate Masters, the point system is a little bit different, but we'll talk more about that later, as we are lovely to say that we are in the game. So let's head on over to the lovely track of Canada, a 17-minute qualifying session. Oh, this is where it all gets intense now, Mike, because we've got to play the waiting game. We've got to find out which team is going to be on top, and I'd say that's the most scary part about qualifying, is who can bag it on pole position, and most of all, who can keep it out of the barriers, which is obviously the most important part about the track as well.
Yeah, obviously, and another thing to keep an eye on as well is looking at the clouds as well. Very overcast, so you never know. It could be changeable conditions in qualifying. As we see LRN Sloshy coming out on track first and foremost, so he's going to be the first person to set a lap time. And yeah, obviously, if it is going to remain dry in the session, obviously the track is going to wrap up and get quicker towards the end. But if there is going to be some weather conditions playing a factor here, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to get the lap times in when it matters.
That is very, very, very true indeed. But like you said, a few drivers coming on the track now, like we've got the Alpine ahead, and then we've got the Haas, and then we've got a gaggle of cars as we see towards the pit exit. They are now leaving the pit lanes. So obviously track awareness and how close the track is. Drivers will have to keep an eye on moving out of the way at the right time to not impede or block any laps there, which obviously wouldn't be ideal, because obviously drivers don't want to get any penalties as we say that, and a 5 grid race penalty goes to one of the drivers on the track. So that's what I mean. That's not ideal. So I don't know if that was a tap or if that was blocking, but yeah, not ideal. But now Sloshy exiting turn number, I want to say 14, with the DRS wide open. He's going to start a lap here at Canada. And Mike, why don't you take us on board with the Alpine driver and take us through a tour around Canada?
Okay, so coming through turn 2 around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, 4.3 kilometers in length as we go through the first chicane of turn 3 and 4. Now for the right-hand kink of turn 5, breaking down once again into the second chicane of 6 and 7. Very important to get good traction out here, as it does open up into a DRS zone, running down to turns 8 and 9. Very easy to lose the car on the curbs here and also invalidate your lap. But Soshi does very well there, navigating his way through as we go to the middle sector split. Coming up to the hairpin now of turn 10. And it's looking like a good lap so far from Sloshy, but a little bit careful on throttle coming out of the hairpin. And now DRS wide open as we head down to the final chicane, promptly known as the Wall of Champions corner, where we've seen so many world champions been it in this corner over the years. But through the final chicane comes Sloshy, and to the line to get us underway is going to be a 1 minute 10.7.
I'd say that is a very impressive lap time, a very impressive banker. But what's also quite interesting is we've had our first retirement from the session, and that's going to be Toby having a bit of a crash in the likes of turns number 3 and 4, which isn't ideal. But as I say that, look at that, CPI. The CPI once again, P1 and P2 locking out the front two grid slots. A 1 minute 9.6 is the fastest lap time, and then P2 a 1 minute 10.4. So could CPI be dominant again and try and take a 1 in 2 in qualifying, and then see how they perform on later on in the race? But it's all going on as Roma in that Mercedes coming across the line, a 1 minute 10.2, but it's only Leo in that AlphaTauri who's the first driver in the 109s.
Yeah, and honestly, in terms of a lap time around here in qualifying, I'm expecting to see the 9s be broken into relatively quickly, as we see Leo and Monkey Men, getting through into the 9s as well. I'm expecting pole time to be potentially in the 108s if they really hook up the lap here. So I think we got some way to go in this session, and it looks like the sun is starting to peer through the clouds out here on track, so it doesn't look like we're going to get any weather conditions interfering here in qualifying.
That is very, very true, which we love to hear. So lovely that rain will not be on the way, as drivers are not a fan of the rain, as Bot comes across the line in the Aston Martin, a 1 minute 10.0, not far off the 1 minute 9s. And yeah, like you said, Monkey in the 109.9, so 2 drivers now on the 109s, which is quite intense so far. But can anybody else find any more grip or pace on the track to potentially top 5, top 3, or potential, you never know, P1, which can be quite surprising, as we know. For example, we'll take Aussie as example. You know, in P13 he's done a 111.4, and some drivers in qualifying will just go like really, really slow on their lap time on purpose. They don't show their true pace in qualifying, and then all of a sudden they're sitting there vibing, and then you don't expect it, but someone from P13 could go straight to P1, which is the unexpected. But like we say, some people do that, some people don't. We'll find out what happens with 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, and of course, another thing is also trying to dial into the circuit and that, so it's very easy to, you know, just take a little bit too much of the track early on, and I think that's what's happened with Toby for the NLR team. And it's going to be about just making sure you get something on the board. Now, everyone in the 11s, obviously you got just us in the 1 minute 13s and the 1 minute 10s, will just be happy that they have a delta on the time board and that, just to make sure they got something to work off.
You know what? I could disagree. That is very, very true. As we've got David coming across the line now. Where's he going to go? It's P6, a 1 minute 10.4. So some drivers in the 110.4s, 110.5s, 110.6s, and separated by less than 1,000th, which is absolutely crazy. But, you know, we do expect a quite of a close qualifying grid, as Impact in the Aston Martin is about to come across the line. And where do they go? First banker lap, and it's P5, a 1 minute 10.3. And mostly every driver on the grid almost has set a lap time, but it's going to be Felix down in P20, not done a lap time just yet, on their outlap, I believe, at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on them to see how they get on. But yeah, half the grid in the pit lane now.
Yeah, and of course it is a very quick lap around here. Obviously, 1 minute 10s, obviously 1 minute 9s that we're seeing so far. So all the drivers will get plenty of times to get their runs in. The question's going to be though, do any of these drivers opt to, save a set of tyres? Maybe do more than one lap on a set as Senna improves and goes up into P7 with a 1 minute 10.4, and he's done 4 laps on those softs.
I mean, that is pretty interesting. So, like you said, potential drivers are saving a set of tyres, to go ahead and progress into, saving a set for the race. But I'd say that's not a bad shout, Mike, because what's actually interesting that some people don't know if they're brand new to this game or they're still trying to figure out how the game works, how, the tile deg works on this game, because obviously it's very different, obviously, from the old game of 2022. But apparently I've been told by a lot of reports and a lot of people on social media and in other discords, would you know, that apparently Canada is one of those tracks where tire deg is substantially quite low. So soft tires can go for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's generally it's been a bit of a case around here. Because obviously, remembering back to like previous games,
Oh yeah.
used to be able to take the mediums like 20 plus laps with relative ease, and obviously compared to other tracks, like it's absolutely unheard of to take a set of mediums that long. But obviously, it's going to be interesting to see that what the strategy is going to be for the race. Obviously, I'm predicting more of a one-stop, medium-hard selection, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of drivers potentially going for a two-stop, maybe chucking on 2 sets of mediums and a set of softs.
I mean, that is an understanding, because if you're going to go for a quicker strategy, why not give it a go and chance it? Because obviously, fresher tyres on this game can tell you that when you get fresh tyres on, it is just insane how fast your pace can become. So I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if there is a 2-stop strategy today. So, like I say, we'll just have to find out and see what happens, which would be awesome to watch and commentate, and excitement for us, which we love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going through the times, Justas improved on his time, gone to a 1 minute 9. Obviously, Monkey has just improved and just gone ahead of Justas now. Ragnar improved and got up to a 9.9, as well as Fight Me Now Bot's coming to the end of his lap. He is just outside of the 1 minute 9s and really attacking the final chicane is Fight Me Now Bot. Until the line he'll come. This should be in the 9s, and it is, and he puts himself up in the P4.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say there, the team at, I think it's ASAC, I was on board with Aussie on the Aston Martin, and actually both McLarens came together at the hairpin section of turn 10, so that was quite interesting to watch. Obviously, like I say, and like you say, Canada, a difficult track to, go wheel to wheel, and obviously with how much space there is, but no, teammates coming together, that is really not a good start to qualifying, and then you've got the race, so you don't know how they're going to perform in the race if they're going to give each other space or awareness. So that is something to watch, and that's what's going to be quite thrilling and exciting to keep an eye out for. So we're going to keep an eye on the McLarens, because like I said, they just came together at the hairpin section, which was obviously interesting and not ideal.
Well, they're going to be working together somewhat now, because obviously Impact's getting a slipstream off his teammate here. So we'll see if he's going to gain anything. Runs a little bit deep on the entry into the final chicane, but keeps it all valid. So the line will come Impact now, and yeah, it's 3/10 off.
Yeah, there was definitely no improvement there. I think the dirty air doesn't really help on this game. I think it's more trickier on this game than the older games. So obviously that's what makes racing a lot more enjoyable in a way. But obviously it can frustrate drivers and make them push hard, and then they can make those tiny errors of invalidating or just being a bit too hard on the tyres, and then you're done. But I'm riding on board with Felix at the moment, who hasn't set a time yet. Well, they have, but it was quite a slow time, obviously, having moments on the track somewhere. But apparently, the game is telling me, if it's right or wrong, I do not know, that he's gone purple in Sector 2. So this could be a potential top 5, top 3, or a new pole time, but we'll have to wait and see first as he exits the Wall of Champions. Very, very aggressive on exit there. So across the line now, what's it going to be? And it's only P16, a 110.5. So from P20 to P16, that obviously isn't ideal for the driver at Haas. So there's a lot of
Felix
improvement to
One.
find.
Yeah, Felix One's going to be disappointed with that lap, but I know Felix One, a very quick driver. I've actually had the privilege of racing him many times, and very rarely that I don't get lapped by Felix One. So I know he's a quick driver. He's going to be disappointed with that lap, but there's still 4 minutes left in the session, so plenty of time to get out there and improve on that. And in terms of the purple sectors that you're seeing, it's probably purple just for his delta only, and so the unfortunate side of this game where it shows purple sectors, even though it might not be the fastest sector in the entire session.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't know why the game does that, to be honest. I don't know if that's just a glitch or a bug, but EA can't resolve the issue, or they just, can't be asked, if you know what I mean. So that can be a bit frustrating, because what I'm being told is a purple can obviously be the fastest sector time move on the track. Then I'm being told that purple can mean it's a green personal best. So it's like, are we playing like traffic light simulator now? Like, what is going on? Like, it's a bit difficult from our perspective, obviously, because we're not driving on the track, we're watching and spectating, commentating. So it is quite a difficult, I would say, scenario to believe if a driver's potential pole or not pole.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, I can't lie, and obviously in terms of us as a spectator, it's going to be we're going to hope and pray that eventually when we see a purple sector, it actually means what it's meant to mean, that the quickest in the entire session. But I mean, until then, we're gonna have to stick with it, and obviously try to remember the pole sitters or those going for fastest laps and what their first sectors and everything are. Now, interestingly, Senna by here is going for a second out lap, so this is interesting because obviously he's going to be using fuel on this lap, going to make sure he has the lightest amount of fuel in his car for his final run, and sometimes that is very beneficial just to make sure you do an extra installation lap around you.
Well, I was riding on board with Senna actually, and they did start pushing, if you know what I mean. Like, they started pushing at turn 1, and then they had a little bit of a back end loss when they exited turn number 2. So I wonder if they just had a moment, lost a lot of time, or if they weren't pushing and I was just, not looking at it from the right perspective of angle. And like you say, it's not a bad thing to do a second warm-up, because that can be really, really beneficial. Obviously, low fuel, less tire wear on the tires, because the tires do less work because the car's lighter, and I'd say there's more grip, as the car doesn't have to focus so hard on trying to have a heavy fuel load. But drivers are now starting their, I'd say, final laps at Canada, and this is going to get quite interesting as Sloshy down in P15. They've got a red track on their screen. They have indeed invalidated on their lap time. So once these yellow flags disappear, they've got about 48 seconds to get to the line, and I don't think they're going to be able to. So I believe that could be their qualifying done and dusted if they can't make the line.
We'll have to wait and see. I think Sloshy might just about be okay, as long as he don't have to do what he's doing right now and have to pull out the way of other drivers. And that could be qualifying all done with now.
Indeed, that could be, but Impact up to the line now. They are on a slight improvement. What's it going to be? And it's P5. a 109.9. That's a very impressive lap time by the McLaren driver, and I would say that that's going to be his qualifying done and dusted, but he'll be very happy with that. But his teammate down in P19, that is really, really not ideal for some drivers right now, and esports teams who are right on board with Wessel in the Alfa Romeo. Qualifying not their strongest bit, but obviously race pace is their strongest. I say that, and never mind, up to P3 goes a 109.7. Drivers now finding time on track as the track evolves, and as I say that, look at Leo in the AlphaTauri for CPI, a 109.5. Absolutely impressive. Monkey in the Alpine now is actually showing some pace as he gets by his teammate on the second back straight, or third back straight, sorry, and he's finding some time out there on the track. Is it going to be enough though to contend for pole position? And it is a 109.4. So there we are. Absolutely insane as FightMeBot came across the line, a 109.6.
Yeah, so we're seeing times begin to tumble down. I think Luke is the only one left across the line now. Has a set of lap time, and he's going to cross the line. And he goes up into P6 with a 109.8.
Well, that is quite interesting. I was thinking that AlphaTauri would lock out the front two again, but it seems they don't. One AlphaTauri in P2, and the other one down in P9.
Absolutely, and I don't know if you clocked what has been said in the chat, but I'll let you run through the order before moving on to that.
Yeah, we can do, and look at the order. Surprisingly, Monkey in that Alpine has got a 5 grid place penalty, so he takes P1 in qualifying. He'll drop down to is it 6? He dropped down to?
Yeah, he'll drop down to 6, and then
So-
Impact will drop down to
Yeah,
12.
that is not ideal for the start of the race, but that is your qualifying grid. But switching it up a little bit, Leo will take P1, Fight Me Now Bot will take P2, and Wessel will take P3. And yeah, so grid changes happening. We'll probably have to go through that grid change again once we get into the race and stuff like that. And yeah, that is quite surprising. I didn't realize that two drivers, or I know one had a grid penalty, but I didn't realize P1 had one, which was disappointing. But it's a long race. They can push through and hope they can get a good result today.
Yeah, absolutely, and the clouds are a little bit out, and it looks like it should be fine for the start. But obviously, I did see something in the chat saying that we could see some potential rain.
Ooh.
As Impact has actually left the session, and that is not good for him. So,
Oh,
everyone's leaving the session now.
are we getting a lobby restart for some penalty bits and bobs? I'm guessing. I'm guessing we are, because the host has actually left the session. So I think it's been called for a lobby restart. Let me confirm that and have a look to make sure it's not us, you know, crashing. I can't see anything in the chat, but I want to say we are potentially getting a restart. Yep, we've been confirmed in the chat. It's a lobby restart. So guys, please bear with. We will be a few moments obviously getting this lobby restart sorted. We're going to play a lovely advert, so enjoy that one, and we'll be back in a few moments. Peace.
They been on their ass, bitch, I'm on the rail. I wrap it, I bag it, I pack it for sale. Got feeling on speed out, I hit me to chill. I give it a thrill, I put it on film. Niggas facade, get applaud, that ain't real. Come to my section and flex, we can tell. I got a show and she dipping them nails. I'm flipping my L's, I know they can tell. I did it too major, they hit me for favors. Been him since the cable was cut in the cradle. What's up, only right that I do it colossal until I'm a fossil. They want me to fail. Look, we prevail. Tell them to point out who said it, they run it. Bitch, I'm on your tail. Know that they talking, they telling them tales. Just know how to tell. That shit for the sale. Yeah.
Honestly, I know it's hard to believe, but you have to trust me. It's got maximum taste and zero sugar.
Stop playing games, wooden boy.
No, I'm a real boy.
Pepsi Max. Maximum taste, zero sugar. Try and believe.
What do you see here? Maybe history, or maybe it's the future.
Amarti mi consola. Amami ancora. Fallo dolcemente. Un anno, un mese, un'ora.
Tonali plug-in hybrid, a new charge of sportiness.
Hello everyone, we are just still slowly getting everyone back in the lobby, so that shouldn't take too long. But as I mentioned earlier on in the stream, obviously we'll have a chat about the point system, because Mike, you know, why not? As we're waiting to get into the lobby, let's sit back, relax, and just wait, you know, as I've just got an invite, so I'll quickly accept that and get that all set up, and then we'll have a quick chat about the point system.
Yeah, and of course, you know, looking at the point system, obviously, big points on offer if your team manages to get a 1-2 finish. So it's definitely a great shout. And obviously, in terms of what we saw in terms of a pole time, I'm wondering what's going to happen now, because obviously, pole position was taken by Monkey, and Monkey got a 5-place grid drop. Does he get the pole position point, or does he lose that?
I would say, obviously, because it's a lobby restart, probably for some harsh grid penalties that shouldn't have been awarded, because this game can be slightly interesting. I would say potentially he will keep pole position, which I think is fair, because obviously whatever he did, he didn't mean to do, you know. But I think on this game, grid penalties, contact is quite what's the word I'm trying to say? It's quite difficult because it's a lot different from the actual engine of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's always an intriguing one in qualifying. Like sometimes just one person will get a 5-place grid drop. Sometimes there'll be both drivers involved in something that gets a 5-place grid drop. Like you could be, you know, doing everything right, and you could just get lightly tapped by someone who's not on a fast lap behind you while you're on a slow lap, and both you get 5-place grid drops, and that. I think that potentially is what might have happened.
Yeah, and I could not disagree with you much more. I believe we're waiting on one more driver to get in the lobby, and then we can get going. But yeah, like you said, if your team gets P1 and P2 in the race, then that is some very, very big points on the board. Like, wow, 30 points for P1 and second 25 points. Like, I'm sorry, but that's crazy. Just like imagine, right? Every single race, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. That is just insane.
Yeah, and of course, that's why when we was going for the standings earlier, we said it was a close battle between the top three. Because even though there's 30 points between them, you can see right there, that's just a race win.
Yeah, 110%. You know, what else could we talk about? We'll talk about the calendar, because why not? So, let's move into the calendar. So as we can see on the calendar, we've had the last 3 races, and obviously we're at Canada now. Next is Qatar. I want to know, Mike, have you done a race at Qatar? If you have, what's your experience like, and what's your personal opinion on the track?
Well, I haven't actually had a race at Qatar that I've raced in, but that's because I don't race anymore. But I have commentated over it a few times over the past couple of weeks, and it's a great track for driving, and penalties are such a big thing around Qatar because it's so easy just to drift wide over the lines and pick up a warning, and they just accumulate over time. The other thing that I noticed with Qatar is that fuel drains like you wouldn't
Oh,
believe. Like, I've seen drivers that need to overfuel their car by 2, maybe even 3 laps just to get to the end.
yeah, that's the most crazy part and feature about Qatar is that it eats so much fuel, and it's actually really um, quite a high tire deg track, as I witnessed when I was doing some commentating for some other leagues. There was one driver which did 20 laps on the medium compound tire and got a left front puncture. So you can't even go long in that race on the mediums. So that is what's quite interesting about that track. And then after that, we've got the lovely track of Texas. What do you think of that track? Would you say, Mike? Is it a favorite personal? Is it a personal favorite for you, or not so favorite?
To commentate over, I very much enjoy it. To race on, I very much hate it. It's a tale of two minds that for me in terms of Texas.
What would you say is your most? Where would you say you would struggle most on the Texas track? Like, where would you struggle?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. I mean,
Everywhere.
I can understand that because I do myself. And we've got some good old news that the lobby is starting in around about 20 seconds time, which is awesome to see. So yeah, that's going to be awesome to get going in a few seconds. But no, as you can see, final few races: Qatar, Texas, Brazil, Singapore, France, and then Belgium to top it off. Wow. Lovely tracks. Amazing to commentate over, and wheel-to-wheel action. DRS is so powerful on some of the tracks, especially Spa, the massive back straight when you go up and through a rouge. That DRS is absolutely insane. But let's point our eyes now towards the lovely track of Canada as we're getting loaded in. So it shouldn't be too much longer, and then we get 35 laps around the Canadian Grand Prix. So I'm very excited today because we're going to get a lot of wheel to wheel, and what's the word? It's on the fine line for space, shall we say? And hopefully drivers do remember their setups as well. One of the most important key factors about this, setups.
Yeah, and that's a crucial thing as well, is making sure that drivers do remember their setup. So if any of the drivers are listening to the stream right now, make sure you load your setup.
Yes. And if there's any engineers watching this stream, make sure to tell your drivers the setups, because that's the most important part about this track and driving in general. Because if you drive without your setup, you're going to feel like you're all over the place and like you have no race pace because you don't feel comfortable. And if you push, and you push a little bit too hard, then you could be finding yourself in the barriers completely.
Yeah, especially coming through the final chicane. And we saw it a few times in qualifying. A lot of drivers brushing up against the wall and getting dangerously close to losing their front wing. Obviously, in the race, you're going to be carrying more fuel, so that could eventually go into a bit of a situation where you take off a bit of that front right end plate, and that is going to compromise you over the entirety of the following lap, because once you go through that final chicane, you have to do the following lap just to get back to the pits. And in terms of the weather, what we're being told, dry to wet.
Ooh, now that does sound exciting. Obviously, clear skies at the moment. Lovely sunshine, blue sky, fewer clouds on the track above. But as we get closer and closer to the race, it's going to be 5 red lights, and it's going to be lights out, and away we go. And it's a really good start for Monkey, actually, who maintains P1, but followed very, very closely by CPI now. Down into turn 2 we go, and the AlphaTauri looking up the inside there, and maybe, just maybe, takes the lead of this race. And he does ever so slightly sneak his way into pole position.
Yep, Leo getting the move done early on in the back. We got Senna and Nick going side by side through turns 3 and 4, and there's still well, actually now Senna side by side with Chris Amount in the back for P15, and there's an Alpine in the wall, and that is Sloshy in the wall, and
Oh no.
Aaron.
Oh my goodness, that is quite a big crash only on lap 1, and that is going to be a virtual safety car. And the McLaren, oh my goodness, we've lost a driver already. And Sloshy, no front wing, not ideal, down in P19.
Same
What
with
a
Luke as
crazy
well.
start that was. We're being told it's a virtual safety car, but there's now a full-blown safety car on the track. So hopefully that will switch, and there it does switch eventually. And there we have it. But what a decent and spectacular getaway for P1 Leo, who was in P2, and Monkey and Leo basically got a similar, you could say, start, but Leo just a bit more confident into turn 2 on lap 1 and managing to get ahead of the Alpine.
Yeah, Leo getting a fantastic run through turns 1 and 2 to be able to get that move done on Monkey at the start. Interesting to see a couple of the drivers coming into the pits. Fight Me Now bot coming in off a set of hards. He's chucked on a fresh set of mediums, and I'm wondering now, is he potentially going to go mediums now all the way to the rain, or will the rain fall hard enough to warrant the switch over to intermediates? Is he looking to potentially do, at the worst case scenario, do medium, but if the rain comes out, then he's on the quicker tyres throughout the rest of this race?
I'll tell you what, that is very, very true. That is quite a smart strategy, not to lie. A fresher lap of tyres, if the rain's expected to come, I don't know, whenever really. We'll just have to wait and see for that. But lap number 2 now, under safety car, as lap 1, big shunt by the McLaren, and like you say, Sloshy. I'm guessing those two came together, but I'm having a look at the tyres, and half of the grid, the majority of the grid I should say, on medium tyres, and there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers on the hard tyre compound. And I must say, I actually did a league race yesterday around this track, and if you want to know some interesting information, the hards are way better and feel a lot more grippier than the medium tyres, which is something that sounds a bit odd. That people are probably thinking now in the chat, and Mike, yourself, you may sound a little bit confused, but no joke of a word of a lie there. The hards are much better on this track than the mediums.
I mean, I don't think that's too wrong of a statement to make it now, because there are certain tracks where the hard tyres, going from game to game, the hard tyres sometimes end up being the better tyre to be on, better race tyre compared to the mediums, and sometimes it's the medium tyres that are the better race tyres.
Yeah, that is very, very true, but of course, like you said in previous games, you know, you had like the hard tyres, which, you know, be the worst tyres, and then the mediums would be the second to worst tyre, and then it'd be the soft tyres that could go to like lap 20 or 21, which is insane. But now we are seeing that the safety car is coming in this lap, and Mike, we'll give you the honours, and we'll let you end off the safety car and lead at the safety car restart.
So as you can see now, the safety car has pulled away as Leo now controls the pace of the grid. He's weaving to warm up his tyres. Monkey staying in a straight line, looking to make sure he doesn't get caught off guard by Leo. Leo needs to time this to perfection, and he has gone. And he has caught Monkey napping a little bit as we head into the final chicane to once again get us back racing under green flag conditions as we cross the line to start lap number 4. Leo leads away from Monkey in second, Das Wessel in third.
Well, there you have it. He definitely caught Monkey napping on that back straight. I'd say it's a little bit early for the AlphaTauri to go, but nevertheless, that's not a bad getaway for Leo. And having a look now, and actually someone's gone round. Someone is round. And that's actually Monkey. Monkey is round.
Oh, and he's trying to spin back around on track. Fortunately for him, he was ghosted. So only other drivers were able to avoid catastrophe there. Fight Me Now bot using his fresher mediums to try and get through on Toby here as they are wheel to wheel. And looks like Felix is going to go through as well. And Toby has backed out to let his teammate go, which is fantastic teamwork from them. Dari has lost touch with David ahead of him, and he's got Rudy, Nick, and Matthias Roma in behind him, very close on the back. Senna, I think, has just got through on Aussie, and he's got Fight Me Now bot drawn alongside him. And yep, good teamwork once again from the Aston Martins, and the Mercedes of Chris gonna try and go side by side with Aussie into the final chicane. They're still wheel to wheel. 2 through 1 doesn't go there, but what a switch back from Felix. A double overtake from the NLR driver, absolutely incredible. And in the background we saw Luke going around as well, so hopefully no damage for Luke, as he's already had a horrible start to this race. But what a switchback there from Felix. As Fight Me Now bot gets through on Senna for P11.
He's just, I'm sorry, but Fight Me Bot is just flying at the moment. He's drained the battery a little bit, but he seems to be flying on those tires, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, like you said, Felix, a double overtake. I was not expecting that into Wall of Champions, but obviously 2 cars at Wall of Champions can work, but it's a little bit risky, and of course, it's not the best way to go, as you can find yourself in the wall, which you don't want to do, especially if you get front wing damage or something along the line of that. But having a look through the rest of the grids, P8 almost out of DRS detection zone, you could say, which isn't ideal for himself, as he'll be pressurized behind. And actually saying that, DRS now enabled this lap, so the Red Bull driver of Dari needs to really start to find some pace and get back into the DRS to potentially be towed along. But so far he's not finding that pace, as we saw a switch between, I believe that was Senna and Felix with P12.
Yeah, Felix. Yeah, Felix managed to get through on Senna through turn 1 down the inside. Lovely overtake from the NLR driver again his way up the order. We're seeing Fight Me Now bot. He's just a little bit outside that 1 second window, but he needs a good couple of corners here, because if he doesn't get into DRS now for the big straight, he's going to lose a lot of time. Fortunately for him, he is in that DRS range now, and Felix is going to be outside of that, and we're going to see the gaps begin to pull now, as David is well, nearly 2 seconds, and he will be over 2 seconds behind Ragnar now with DRS.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy from, like I said, Fight Me Bot now. Keeping an eye on him, actually riding on board with him. His exits are absolutely insane and just perfection. And he's gone from quite far down in the grid to P11, and we're only on lap 7, so he is flying on those medium tyres, probably pushing quite hard, as he might have been told the rain is expected in about, what, 10 to 15 minutes, or whenever it's coming. He's pushing hard on those new tyres.
Yep, as ORT, the debutant team, doing well so far. Both of their drivers inside the top 10, one in P6, one in P7, Linus Stern.
Yeah, that is actually not bad.
Yeah, and with Dari outside that DRS range, these two can kind of just DRS tow each other away from Dari, Nick, and Matthias Roma in the background. And of course, if they can do that, as Fight Me Now bot actually sends one down the inside of Matthias Roma, gets that position. So Fight Me Now bot not wasting any time. But yeah, as I was mentioning, the Williams car is just going to be able to DRS pull each other away as Nick goes through on Dari now.
Now this gets interesting, because obviously Nick is on those medium tyres, and I believe the Williams team are on those mediums as well, and they are. So now it's going to be interesting, is Nick going to be able to potentially grow on that and try and adapt and get into, of course, the under the 1 second, and so far he is showing that pace, and that could be possible, but like I say, we have to find out and wait and see. But Nick could potentially do it, as he's gaining quite a lot this lap, and this lap only.
Yeah, the issue for Nick, though, is the fact that every single time that DRS is activated for Rudy, and he's going to be told by David, he's just going to lose all the time that he gains on these guys.
Yeah, 110%. But look at Fight Me Bot now. In P10, and he's about to turn behind. Might go down the inside here, and he is going to send it on Dari. And all about exit here at turn 11 now to 12 with DRS enabled. And he should get the DRS, and he does. And that's now Fight Me Bot into P9. So he's absolutely flying. He might get Nick here as well. Not here. As we exit the Wall of Champions, he gets a superb exit as Roma gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And there we go. Fight Me Bot now going wheel to Nick down to turn 1. And into P8 he goes. And now he's got to get ahead of the two Williams, which shouldn't be too hard for him, as he's flying through this pack so far.
Fight Me Now Bot not wasting any time trying to get through, as Ragnar's out of the race. That's a CPI driver out of the race, and that has brought out a second safety car.
Oh, wow. That is, of course, not what CPI will be needing today. But, wow, that is going to hurt for points for not only McLaren, but also AlphaTauri today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, the McLaren team, obviously that is Team ASAC, I believe, in the McLarens. Obviously, they are down currently in 10th place in the championship. Obviously, they'll be promoted to 9th now with Invictus Racing Team dropping out and being replaced by ORT now. So, yeah, I mean, they're down technically in last on 16 points, and that's definitely not there help them out. Obviously, Impact having a good race so far up in P4. We're seeing drivers coming into the pits now, which is good timing because they'll be able to switch tyres and go on to another.
All going on the hards. Well, some of them are. Some of them are not. So I'll say that. David's in the pit lane. He's going for another set of mediums. Williams double stacking at the moment. And they were held for such a long time, but that looked like it was a bit of lag or something. But a lot of drivers in the pit lane. And we'll have a look at tyres here, because that's the most important part about this. And fresh set of hards, fresh set of mediums. It's a bit of a mixed grid once again, but wow, that's going to be quite interesting. And Fight Me Bot, I believe, actually went back into the pit lane. Or did he? I don't know. I think he went back. He went back to the pit lane to switch to his original strategy and go on those hard tyres, which are about a lap old.
I mean, here's the thing for the drivers that have gone into a set of hards. If the rain doesn't come heavy enough, they can go to the end on these hards.
Yeah.
If the rain comes heavy enough, obviously, it depends on when the rain comes. Like, because if it comes in the next 10 laps, obviously the mediums will have the advantage. But if it comes around lap 25 to 30 and it comes down heavy, then the hards will probably be the better choice, because the mediums would have dropped off at that point.
I mean, I could disagree with you a lot more. That is obviously the way it's got to go. But Aussie, though, the big gainer so far with 12 positions gained. Absolutely insane. And unfortunately, the biggest loser today is going to be ERT Luke, down in P18, losing 12 positions. So one gaining 12, but one losing 12, which isn't ideal. But it is what it is. And we've got position changes happening at the back of the grid, actually. And that is Nick into the pit lane for a switch to the medium tyres. But sitting still, I don't know if he's serving a... I believe he's serving a time penalty for 5 seconds, I believe. And that is his tyre switch done to the medium tyre, which I don't think can go to the end of the race. It's a push, but I think they can. But the tyre grip will just be just disgusting, shall we say.
Yeah, I think everyone that's coming to the pits and put on a set of the mediums, they think that the rain will be coming out in like the next 10 laps or so. So they'll hope that the drop off on the mediums won't be as big as it would be if it comes out around lap 25 if the rain begins to fall then. But those on the hards, they just cover themselves off, making sure that they can get to the end. As the safety car is in this lap, so we'll begin racing once again. And I decided the last one, I'll let you do this one.
That is more than fine. So, of course, it's not going to be Leo leading this one. It's going to be Felix in the Haas car now, maintaining a suitable pace for the safety car to run back in the pit entrance and just sit and wait for another incident. If one comes out again, hopefully none does though. The rain will come slowly, but I believe the Haas has gone actually. He has gone. And Leo caught napping there just ever so slightly, but on exit, Leo getting a superb one there. And Toby, a 5-second penalty for server collision with Senna. And that's actually Senna out, so that's unfortunate right there. But Wessel already attacking the front runner ahead of Leo. And that's Monkey getting around into P6 now. And David in that Williams team trying to get past the Aston Martin.
Fight Me Now bot sending one around the outside of Soshi there into turns 3 and 4. Very brave move there from Fight Me Now bot, able to make it work. And heartbreak for the relentless driver in the Red Bull, Dari, who's driving around right now without a front wing.
Oh, that isn't ideal. What on earth has happened there? As I've just seen, there is more chaos going on. There's more yellow flags. Don't know what for though, as Felix has lost the race lead on lap 12 after the safety car restart. Leo's through. Wessel now going through. And oh my days, the Red Bull going through, but also trying to get past Wessel as we head down to the Wall of Champions. And the Red Bull sending it and getting through. That was...
Felix coming back at Wessel now. He's got a good, better run at the final chicane. He's going to send it down the inside, see if he can hold it down the inside. But no, Wessel going to be able to hold on there. Impact all over the back now. Can he get good traction out of turn 2? Yes, he can. He's going to draw to the inside for turn 3. Down the inside he goes. Job done for the McLaren.
That is actually quite devastating for NLR. After the safety car restart, the Haas was leading, and then he finds himself on lap 13 in P5, which isn't ideal. But there's a lot of gains up and down the grid order as we're riding on board with Sloshy, who's got Nick right behind him on those medium compound tyres, trying to look for a move in Sector 2 and getting the job done. But that looked like that was off track and not ideal there. So the Alpine will go down the inside almost, and he does succeed, but he has to slam on the brakes as the gap was there no more. But that could have been a track limit warning for Nick, as he did cut the chicane by quite a amount there, but no contact. But that was a little bit naughty, if I say so. But the Red Bull, can we just talk about the Red Bull for a second? Just in P2, looking like he has the pace now. He's flying right behind that AlphaTauri right now.
Yeah, and I was going to bring up the fact that obviously yes, that's on a set of the medium tyres. So he will have the better compounder tyre for this early phase. So we're going to see the change in strategy in terms of which one's going to pay off for these two. Because Justus has got himself into a fantastic position where he could potentially be on for a race winner. So I believe that is Sloshy around in the middle sector. And yeah, he has gone around, unfortunately. Yep, the LRN driver, as yes, that's now with DRS, is going to be able to get this move done on Leo, and he's just going to breeze past him now with DRS, and obviously he will have a second bite of the cherry down the pit straight, as there is obviously one detection zone for both of these DRS zones.
Yeah, and you can see that Justice pushing there over 1 minute 12.2. It's absolutely an insane lap time there from the Red Bull driver. But right now, Wessel falling back a bit out of the DRS zone as Impact right now trying to put pressure on P3, and so far that is working into his hands with the Alfa Romeo driver not having that DRS assistance to help him with defense or attack. And Luke in P10 at the moment not having a bad race so far, even though he was down 12 positions. So his race is turning from good to better, you could say.
And that is a big first penalty picked up for Das Wessel. And honestly, if Impact decides to really battle and scrap it out with him, that's going to bring the likes of David and Fight Me Now Bot into the field of things. As Fight Me Now Bot has managed to get through on Felix 1. So Felix 1 on 13 lap old medium, starting to slip down through the order.
Yeah, and that's actually quite interesting to see. And Williams not too bad behind us. We've got Nick down to P9 now, getting ahead of that Mercedes. And could Luke potentially get ahead? But as I say that, he doesn't get a great exit out there. And as we say that, look at Wessel and Impact going on there. Impact is through. And will Wessel just be left behind now? Is he just be left behind in the dust as that McLaren fires away? And as I say that, look at that, the top two. And Leo has lost DRS completely.
Yep, Justas has used quite a bit of VRS to try and pull away. And he's down to less than 10%. And Leo will see that little flashing red light on the back of that Red Bull indicating that Justas has less than 10% ERS. So that might fill him with a bit of confidence, as he should be able to close up a little bit, using a little bit on the exit here off the hairpin. In fact, Leo does not decide to use any ERS, as down further towards the back you got Rudy over the back of Felix 1 now for P7, and battles are beginning to happen.
Yeah, indeed they are, but look at that, the Williams flying and taking away P7. And like we say, this new team that's slid in today, not performing too bad, you know. David in P5, but might be under pressure from a Fight Me Bot soon. A Fight Me Bot, like we say, is just absolutely flying on the track so far. But to be honest, a new team coming into this league, I think P5 and P7, if they stay like that, that's some good points. That is some really good points today.
Well, I mean, just to give you a quick little math for the points now that they're currently on for, P5, P7 will gain ORT a grand total of 28 points in the opening round.
Wow, that is actually quite impressive for a opening round of point scoring. I think they'll be very chuffed and very, very pleased and happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. What's called Relentless currently are looking at, I believe, 34 points, because Justas has the fastest lap currently. So they're looking at 34 points. Obviously, CPI, one driver being out of the race, and that's Ragnar. Obviously, Leo still in the race. He's currently P2. They're looking at 25 points. So that's a 9-point swing in favour of Relentless in terms of the top two in the championship.
That is very true indeed. And now we're seeing Fight Me Bot within DRS range now. Around about 7/10 is the gap to the car ahead. And David may be feeling that pressure now from the Aston Martin behind.
Absolutely, the Aston Martin's starting to come into play, and of course the Aston Martin's being driven by the ex-esports drivers. Of course, they're another team that are in the team championship picture. Obviously, as it currently stands, P6 and P15 for the pair of them. They're not outscoring Relentless, but in terms of their fight with CPI, I think as it currently stands, 15 and yeah, they're only getting 19 points out of this race so far.
Yeah. But look with this, so Wessel going back to P3 now as he goes down to turn 1. Easy breeze. Back into P3 goes the the McLaren. Just seems to not have the race pace on those hard tyres and kind of struggling as Nick up into P8, getting past the Haas car. And we saw some time penalties going out to Ruby in that Williams racing car. Not ideal on lap number 19.
No, no ideal at all. The one saving grace for Rudy is if Nick makes one mistake, and of course he does have Felix 1 and Luke in behind him. Obviously, we'll see Luke get through on Felix 1 here. But if these guys begin to battle, if Nick, Luke, and obviously potentially Felix, if he can keep with them, continue to battle, it's going to be difficult for Nick to be able to jump Rudy on that time penalty.
Yeah, indeed it is. But what's quite interesting is you got Fight Me Bot on the hard tyres, and you got David on the mediums. And so far, David is able to maintain that gap, but for how much longer as those tyres will start to get gradually older and start to eventually wear off, as they're about 9 laps into the race with not many laps remaining.
Yeah, we're getting to that point now with the mediums where as Luke and Nick are getting tangled up with each other. Sorry, through turn 2, I just come on board with that, and they
Yeah, I
are
saw that
still
too.
locked in middle. As Felix 1 gets back through, absolute fisticuffs going on there between the two Ferrari engine cars.
Well, I must say, I was having a sip of my drink there, and I was muted my mic at that point, so I'm glad you're riding on board of that. That was insane. Like, I saw that Luke went deep or something at turn 1, and then he kind of cut across the track, and then the Alfa Romeo kind of just went to the back of him because there was nowhere for Nick to go. So hopefully those two haven't got damage, especially Nick, for that little tap on that back end of that Ferrari.
Hopefully they don't lose their heads with the incidents between each other. That's the main thing, because we don't want to see getting a little bit careless now, elbows out to the fullest between these two drivers, as Nick's going to overtake Felix 1 and Luke possibly. No, he's going to back out and wait for turn 1 as Luke picks up a 3-second time penalty, so maybe just losing his head a little bit.
Yeah, ever so slightly. That can be understandable if some drivers are just hot-headed. And I say that, and oh my goodness, Luke went into the back of Felix there, and I believe Luke has actually got wing damage. He has. He's lost his winglet, and he's going to try and send it, and he can't because he's got no front downforce. That was insane, and that really does damage limitation to Nick's race so far, down now to P11 after that, I don't know, contact or whatever that was. That was not ideal.
I have a theory of what I think happened there.
Take it away.
I have a theory. So, as we saw, Nick was ahead of Felix 1 going into turn 1. I think Nick has locked up the rears. Obviously, his car slowed down much too quick for Felix to anticipate. Felix has gone into the back of Nick. And with Luke being so close behind Felix as well, he's gone into the back of him and picked up wing damage. I'm on board with Chris right now, trying to see if the Mercedes has picked up wing damage. I think he's got away with it. So, yeah, both Felix and Luke into the pits as Chris manages to avoid everything there. Nick, obviously, after getting tagged around by Felix through turn 1, I'm not sure if he's locked up his tyres a bit, but his tyres are definitely a little bit too hot right now as he's struggling to keep his car going in the right direction coming out of the traction zones.
Yep, 110%. Would not disagree with you there. And what's actually caught my eye a bit, as we saw, Leo was quite fast in qualifying, you know, getting a really good quality position and having a good launch off the race. But what we're seeing is Wessel, with somewhat some battery, is actually catching the car ahead. So is Leo in the AlphaTauri racing for CPI? Is he starting to struggle on those hards as they start to wear off towards the end of the race, which is quite surprising actually?
I don't think Leo's been struggling. I think the fact that obviously Leo's been left by Just Us now, so he can't have DRS, whereas Impact and Dust Wessel have been able to go back and forth, trade DRS, and it's actually going to be pulling them closer to Leo. So I think that's what's been happening over the course of the past couple of laps.
Yeah, I could agree with you on that one. Oh my goodness. I was actually riding on board with impact. A lovely helicam shot there. And what a scary moment for the Alfa Romeo driver, as I believe we were exiting turn number 4. I think it is. And then we came to turn number 5, and he tried to get on a throttle really early, and lost the back end for a slight moment, which was actually quite scary, but he managed to save it and keep ahead. But saying that, he's lost a little bit of time to the car ahead, so pushing a little bit too hard than he should be.
Yeah, and of course we actually get like a little bit of a breather now, because the gaps are quite astute throughout the field. Only 2 battles to really focus on as it currently stands, and that's the battle for P5 between Fight Me Now Bot and ORT David, and of course the battle for P3, the final spot in the podium between Impact and Dust Wesel.
Indeed, and so far David seeming that he has the pace to show to Fight Me Bot, as Fight Me Bot is on a different strategy. He's been like in the pit lane quite a lot of times today. I think he's been in, he's only been in the pit lane twice, but he's on 15 lap old hard tyres, and a lap fresher for David on those medium tyres. So that's going to be quite an interesting gamble, because towards the end of this race, if rain doesn't hit as heavily as some drivers may be thinking, or engineers, that could be quite a struggle to the end. Puncture territory, as we see Felix get up into P10, getting up past Monkey now. That was a lovely, quick and easy move by the Hash driver there. And yeah, Roma down in P12, slightly gaining on the cut up ahead, but not by much. And Monkey, of course, having not a great race, having a bit of a spin earlier on in the race. Not ideal, but hopefully he can regain some positions and try and, you know, score as many as he can.
Yeah, and we're going to see what's going to happen now, because obviously we're on lap 25 of 35, as the race leader is Justas. He is 3.2 seconds ahead, but at this point in the race, this is the part where we're going to start to see those hards begin to come back towards Leo.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing any grey clouds in the sky as of yet.
That is what's interesting. I'm not seeing much either. But what I am seeing is we're getting a slight overcast, ever so slightly. So maybe that's slowly indicating that rain is slightly on the way. As I saw that, I was actually on board at turn number 9, I believe it is, and I saw a bit of grey clouds. So I think the rain is coming, hopefully, for some excitement, entertainment for last minute boxing, if drivers want to box for wet tyres. It's quite interesting towards the end of the race, because you don't know what's going to happen, especially for P1 if they have a massive crash in the wet conditions, if they decide to stay out.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Soshi picks up a 3-second time penalty. Felix 1 doing very well in his soft. He's absolutely flying right now towards Nick. And of course, remember, he had to make that pit stop, so he's actually pitted and caught back up to Nick.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, absolutely flying on those tyres for 4 laps now. Of course, he's going to have a lot more race pace and a lot more grip than the cars up ahead. So this could be quite a smart strategy to get some desperate points. Which NLR would be very happy with, you know. He's about, I say he's with 1 second. He's now within a second of DRS range of the car up ahead. And like I say, those soft tyres can go for quite a few laps. So towards the end of this race, is possible. Maybe slightly pushing it on those soft tyres, but he has got the advantage at the moment with the whole grid on older tyres. And there you go.
That
into P8.
was a mistake.
And there we are. Impact now getting ahead. And just into the pit lane for soft tyres. So Just has called it in. He has come in. Now it gets interesting. A spicy battle is about to unroll here. That's interesting. The Red Bull into the pit lane. So is that going to... what's the word? Flash warning bells at maybe the top 3 to come in for soft tyres? Or is that too late at that point?
No, I think that's an indicator that the medium's starting to get close to that puncher territory. Um, so I think Justas is coming to the pits because staying out, he might have risked a puncher. So it's going to be interesting now. He does have quite a few cars to overtake, but on the soft tyres, we saw how quick Felix was. Let's see how quick Justas is.
I mean, saying how quick Felix is, he's about 1.8 to the Mercedes ahead, so he is definitely flying on those soft tyres. So I'm going to ride on board a Leo in P1, back where he belongs. If he's going to come into pit lane, or if it's too late to go on a fresh set of tyres, and he is staying out. What about Impact or Wessel? They are both staying out. Fight Me Bot staying out, and David and Ruby deciding to stay out and not box, which is quite interesting. And that Red Bull is now coming into play on those soft tyres, which is going to be awesome to the end of this race now. Exciting things happening. And especially if it starts to rain, the Red Bull's got the upper hand as tyre heat is quite slightly easier to maintain in the soft tyres, unlike the mediums, unlike the hards.
Yeah, we're seeing Justas now all over the back of Rudy for P6. Look at the grip Justas has through these corners, and he has the DRS, and he'll just breeze past the Williams car. Up into P6 goes Justas, and he is absolutely going to be flying on those soft tyres. Will we be looking at the new fastest lap of the race? Time will tell, as he is approaching David and Fight Me Now, but at a rapid pace. As he's only 1.3 off the back now. He's already dropped Rudy by a second, and David coming through on now Fight Me Now bot, and he's going to overtake, goes up into P4 as Dust Wessel is going to be looking for a move on Impact here as he goes for the move down the inside in towards turn number 1.
Well, there you have it. It's getting a bit spicy now. And in the picture, we can see that Red Bull. And that is actually quite scary to see a Red Bull on soft tyres absolutely flying through the grid. So, Fight Me Bot, is he going to put up much of a fight? Or is he going to try and let the car go and try and follow? We'll find out shortly. As, look at the Red Bull. He's right on the rear wing of that Aston Martin now, with almost 5 laps remaining in this Canadian Grand Prix. But look how much grip he has. Like you said, he's got so much grip on those soft tyres. And he's going to go for it. Battery on. DRS on, and he's going to go for it. He takes P5 now. David up ahead on those old, struggling medium tyres. Bit of a risk to stay out on those tyres for that long. Hopefully no puncture has occurred, but look at that, the Red Bull down the inside, and now he's taken P4.
Yeah, and in terms of the pace of these softs, if the rain comes quickly, Leo might have a chance to be able to consolidate this race winning position that he's in right now, but the longer it stays dry, I think the more it favours Justas here.
But I say it's now getting cloudy at Canada though. The clouds are now coming in with 5 laps remaining. Can we start to see spots of rain start to spit on the track? We'll have to find out very, very shortly. And if we do, it's going to be a thrilling end to this race because now drivers will decide, do I stay out, do I not stay out? If there's rain, it seems it's going to be coming very, very shortly.
Yeah, and we're going to have to wait and see what is going to happen with the rain, as Justas already all over the back of Impact. Doesn't have DRS for this straight. Just missed out on the detection zone, but he'll definitely have it for the back straight. And he'll have a good enough run through these corners that he'll be close enough to potentially go for a move into the hairpin. And is he going to go for it? Yes, he is, around the outside of the McLaren. Justas.
And there's rain. I'm seeing rain on my screen.
Yep, the rain is falling here. Lap 30 or 35.
Go, now it gets interesting. The rain has arrived at Canada. The Red Bull goes into P2 now. Fight Me Bot into P5 with a 3-second time penalty. When is everyone going to box? David's taking the gamble. David is in. David has boxed. Is he going on to those inters? Is it too early? Let's find out. Riding on board with the Williams as other drivers are now coming in to switch to the inters. And yes, the Williams has made the gamble and he is in for the intermediates. And drivers are now staying out and taking a lap a longer or two. But it just depends on how hard that rain falls. It really does depend.
Yeah, David taking a big gamble here. Obviously, he was up in a very good position, up fighting Fighting Outlaw for P5. This is a huge risk for David, because obviously coming out of the pits, if those tyres are not working, then he's going to be losing time. But I can't lie, it doesn't look like... actually, yeah, he is losing time to Felix. Well, in fact... Actually, I think he's okay.
I think he's okay, actually. He does seem okay. He does seem okay on those tyres, so maybe that was the right call. Is anyone going to come into the pit lane? In comes Leo, a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not able to slow down enough. Leo now comes into the pit lane, and it does look like it's wet on the track. He comes in to go for the intermediate tyres, so maybe David has made the right call. And if he has made a massive gamble that could work into his hands and work into his favour right now.
Well, we are going to see how this works out for David now as he comes through down towards turn 1. Obviously, he is going to jump ahead of Rudy and Fight Me Now bot, but it's going to be about where they rejoin through turn 2. And it actually looks like... yeah, David comes out ahead, but one thing I got a little bit perplexed about, Rudy's actually in front of Fight Me Now bot. He's jumped him in the pits.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. That's caught my eye as well. But what's also caught my eye, why has the Red Bull stayed out? Because now surely he is struggling on those tyres, and Leo would take P1 again. And Wessel as well on those hards. Why has he stayed out? Absolute drama towards the end of this race on lap 32 of Canada. In comes the Red Bull, slowing down a bit earlier to not get a speeding warning. Wessel also coming in. Hopefully he can speed down just in time to not avoid a penalty. He does avoid a penalty. And here comes Leo through to Wall of Champions very, very shortly. Could David pick up one more position on those tyres? DRS is disabled. And it's all interesting now, as Just is about to come out the pit lane. And there's the McLaren jumping Wessel out of the pit lane, and here comes David. David is now approaching turn 1. Wessel now coming around the right hand side. He slides out of the pit lane as he goes to there for just a second. But David now in P5. If he has really good race pace on those tyres, he can pick up a few positions here with the time penalties, as Leo's got a time penalty. Impact hasn't got a time penalty, but Justice has got a time penalty as well. But he's got about 4.6 seconds to catch the car ahead.
I mean, there's two different sets of penalties going on for the top two right now. Leo does have a 5-second time penalty, and Justice has a 3 seconds, so the gap just needs to be below 2 seconds. Obviously, we're on lap 33 or 35, so running out of laps to get that down. But if Justice can get himself within 2 seconds, he'll be taking this race win. But, I mean, as you mentioned, Impact is just there or thereabouts.
Yeah, he's just chilling at the moment. He's just waiting for more errors to commence, shall we say. 2.9 is the gap now, and what's it got to be? What's the time penalty? 3 seconds, and Leo's got a 5-second time penalty for speeding, so Just will get the win if he stays within 5 seconds. Justice has got to push next lap, or this lap coming now.
Yep, Justice really needs to push now if he wants to try and take this win. Obviously, he might be thinking more about the team game and just try to consolidate P2. Obviously, that's still good points for the Relentless team. Impact, though, in a possible chance to jump Justice. So, I mean, Leo right now he's got enough of a gap that he won't be jumped by Impact, so he'll be taking this race win. Justice, right now, I think he is, yeah, he's going to be jumped by Impact, so Justice will bring home 20 points, and obviously Dari down in P13 is going to bring home a handful of points as well. So they're not going to be losing a huge amount to CPI in these positions.
Oh no, let's just go over the fact that Ruby is ahead of Fight Me Bot. Last up of this race, point scoring for Williams today on a slide-in new team. absolutely amazing points to be scoring on your first debut as a team at Ultimate Masters. Absolutely insane. Absolutely
Yeah,
crazy.
and,
As Impact is about 3 seconds away from Justice right now. So has Impact lost out on a potential P2 as Justice will now try and push really, really hard now on this final lap to potentially get P1 in this race.
Yeah, I mean, Yestas needs to close that gap by 2.6 seconds. I don't think that's going to be possible in one lap unless Leo makes a mistake. But yeah, I think the CPI driver has done enough to take this race winner. Yestas has done enough to make sure he consoles P2. Impact, though, with a fantastic podium. As we got Rudy and David under a bit of pressure from Fight Me Now, Bob, but they should both be okay in terms of the penalties and everything.
Yeah, they should be fine, but coming down towards the wire now, battery is draining on Justice's car. About 4.8 seconds is the gap to the driver up ahead, but as Leo will take the win on track here at Canada of round number 4 at Ultimate Masters, he'll take the win, but Justice, I believe, will take P1 as he crosses the line, and he doesn't actually, which is surprising. He doesn't take P1 as Impact comes in P3, Wessel in P4, David will take P5, defending off Fight Me Now Bot. What kind of pressure that was. That must have been quite scary for those two Williams drivers, but very good point scoring today. Felix in P8 today, the Mercedes driver in P9, and Monkey will come across the line to take P10, and so on down the grid, scoring optimistic points. As Nick has no front wing. So this could be quite an interesting wire down to the line as Nick is going very, very slowly now. And there's an Aston Martin actually of Aussie down in P15 that can make a desperate lunge into the front chicane as Nick will have to lift ever so much. So maybe, as of course, even though Aussie is behind them, Nick still has a time penalty as he jumps and cuts the corner there. And that's going to be more trouble added to his day as Aussie will take P14 and Nick will take 15. And there you have it. What a crazy end to today's race, shall we say. That is just something I wasn't expecting. But like I said, when rain gets involved, it can be extraordinary.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And of course, with that rain coming out at the right time, pitting at the right time was so crucial. And CPI Leo pitted on the optimum lap, and unfortunately, Yestas left it one lap too late.
Exactly, and that's what happens at the end of the day. Sometimes you can make the correct call, sometimes you can make the wrong call, but at the end of the day, it's hard racing, and like you say, you're not going to win every single race, because if you did, it would be pretty boring. But as we're watching podium celebrations go on as the champagne is sprayed to every single player on the podium and towards the crowd, who are very, very happy. The AlphaTauri take P1 today, and then Red Bull take P2, and Impact in P3, and the rest of your grid P4, P5, P6, P7, P8, and P9, P10. That's your most point scoring opportunities. But as we know, everyone gets a lovely taste of points, so there you are. Ignore the zeros on P11 and downwards, because they still score points, which is good for everyone else. But 3 DNFs in this race, Senna and CPI, Nah, and Bear as well in the McLaren. 3 DNFs, and they won't be scoring any points today for their teams, which is quite a struggle, as they might struggle a bit in the constructors. But no, a good day for Optic in the Williams, you know. Not bad start to them, so they could be maybe a contender for P4, P5 in the constructors, potential top 3 if they do well in the final few more races we have at Ultimate Masters. But I must say, without a doubt, like that is it. We are done today. So from me, Mr. Flynn, I'll be signing off, and I will see you guys next week for round number 5 of Qatar, a lovely track under the floodlights, and a bit of a tricky left-handers, right-handers. Mike, is there anything else you want to add today? Anything at all?
Obviously, absolutely fantastic race. Massive congratulations to all the drivers on the podium. And yeah, it's going to be interesting next week when we go to Qatar. Hopefully, everyone makes sure they have adequate amounts of fuel in their car.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
100%.
otherwise, they'll be running out a little bit early. But yeah, we'll catch you next week for round number 5 at Qatar.
Yeah, but as always, guys, like I always say, that is the provisional point, so much can happen if anyone gets a very harsh penalty. So positions can change. So if you've got any reports, feel free to whack them in the reports channel. Keep an eye on the Discord to keep updated with any reports that do get successful or not successful. Obviously, as well, Discord for point updates and podiums announcements of the content created by the designers in the Discord as well, but also will be posted on the Twitter, so make sure to keep your eyes out on social media. But like we said, me, Mr. Flynn, sign off, Mike as well sign off. We'll see you guys next week for Qatar. Make sure, like Mike said, have a lot more fuel in your car than usual. Guys, see you next week. It's been awesome. Peace.
They been on their ass, bitch, I'm on the rail. I wrap it, I bag it, I pack it for sale. Got feeling on speed out, I hit me to chill. I give it a thrill, I put it on film. Niggas facade, get applaud, that ain't real. Come to my section and flex, we can tell. I got a show and she dipping them nails. I'm flipping my L's, I know they can tell. I did it too major, they hit me for favors. Been him since the cable was cut in the cradle. What's up, only right that I do it. Colossal until I'm a boss, so they want me to fail. Look, we prevail. Telling the point out who said it, they run it. Bitch, I'm on your tail. Know that they talking, they telling them tales. Just know how to tell, that shit for the sale.
Honestly, I know it's hard to believe, but you have to trust me. It's got maximum taste and zero sugar.
Stop playing games, wooden boy.
No, I'm a real boy.
Pepsi Max. Maximum taste, zero sugar. Try and believe.
What do you see here? Maybe history, or maybe it's the future.
Amarti mi consola. Amami ancora. Fallo dolcemente. Un anno e mezzo, un'ora.
Tonali plug-in hybrid, a new charge of sportiness.